Hey, how's it going? I'm Adam, and welcome to Innocence. If you're here today, something in the name at least tickled your fancy, got you curious. You wanted to know more. Who am I? What am I doing here? Not me, you, us, as human beings. What is this philosophical question, the perennial philosophy that we have been asking ourselves since the dawn of time? Something inside us wants to understand our nature and our place in nature. These are big questions. I can't possibly hope to answer them today. I just hope that you are asking them. Each and every one of us will find our own answers. We'll find a way to make life meaningful, as if it wasn't already meaningful. You know, a friend of mine once told me that everybody's looking for the meaning of life, but they've got it the wrong way round, because life is the meaning of the universe. A universe devoured of life would be a very bleak, solitary, and lonely place, but also there would be nothing to perceive reality. It's almost like in the act of observing, we are creating reality. This is quite out there in quantum literature at the moment, that the observer creates reality. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know the more you pay attention, the more meaning reality has. The more you observe, the more you see, the more you listen, the more you hear. So, in a way, our inner work, it should be fun really, our inner fun, is about peeling back the layers of the onion to get closer and closer to our essence, to that unique part of us that is experiencing life in every single moment, that is bubbling with effervescent vitality. And that's a little bit about what innocence is about for me. I think we all, whether we know it or not, are tuned into our innocence, our inner senses. Even though they tell us at school we have 5 senses. Those are the exosenses, the exoception, how we perceive the world in which we live. If indeed we live in the outer world, because really we live in the inner world. So there's 2 secret senses, that are proprioception and interoception. Yeah, let's get it out there. This is the way we know our body in space. Our sense of space is the proprioception. I close my eyes and I can more or less touch my nose. It's something that can be worked at and improved. Like if you stand on one foot and you close your eyes, it's a lot more difficult to balance. We became very dependent on our sight. Our eyes are one of the most advanced in the animal kingdom. But if you take that sight away from us, then we have other ways of knowing the positions of our body, the extensions of our limbs, and any kind of movement practice. Yeah, running, sports, they're great. But actually science has shown that while we are busy in the action, we are paying less attention, we are less able to sense our body image. However, in slow and delicate movement, like when you shift between postures in yoga, or if you know Tai Chi or have practiced Qigong, these are very slow, elegant, graceful movements, just like dancing with your eyes closed in the dance floor and really feeling every motion in your body. We're going to be doing a little bit of that as well with Amanda. leading us into our bodies, into a movement practice, into our inner dance. However, today I wanted to talk about these. I digress. Proprioception and interoception. Interoception being the way that we know our innermost feelings, how we know when we're hungry, when we need to go to the toilet. I've just been. Just in case, I wanted to concentrate on the video with you guys. So there's more to interoception than that. The little flutter in your heart when you see somebody that you fancy, or the bubbles in your stomach when you're nervous. Of course, later we've superimposed language, and most people, when they talk about emotion, they talk about anger, joy, jealousy. But here we want to focus on the actual physiological sensation that goes before the word. Now, emotions are not a thought, even though our thoughts do affect the way our bodies feel, therefore produce a physiological response, which is then the emotion. It's a kind of feedback loop. And as I said, the more we pay attention, the more we're able to sense what is going on within us. Now, this is important to know where we are, to know how we feel, therefore act in a more authentic way, to be more true to ourselves, and hopefully reach the end of our life with a lot less regrets. Having lived each day to the full, and having made the right decisions, what we really wanted to do, not just because somebody expected us to do something else, or because we thought we were going to get lots of money if we took that job abroad, but then ended up realizing that actually we miss our friends and family. So how do you value these things? Being more in tune with yourself, with your innermost feelings, I think ultimately makes you a more complete human being. So, as far as an introduction goes, we're tuning into our inner sense today to activate our vagal nerve. Now, the vagus nerve has been elevated to an almost mythological status. There's a lot of literature out there, a lot of pseudoscience in it, but I'm going to try, as a body worker, I'm very interested in anatomy and how we can touch these structures inside us, and how it then affects our experience of reality. So, if you haven't heard of it, the vagus nerve runs. It's a cranial nerve, which runs out of this little gap here, and then that's the place where it leaves the brain, right? Starts running down the deep cervical fascia, following the gastrointestinal tract. It passes through the lungs, through the thorax, through the diaphragm, and into the belly region, which is a world in itself. Here it touches the liver, it touches the stomach, it touches the pancreas, it touches the kidneys, and it touches the intestines, that enormous sausage tube that runs in and out of our belly. So it is said to, there's two types of nervous signals, afferent and efferent. Afferent being the signals that are coming up into the brain, and efferent being those that go down into the body. So we have sensation and we have expression. There is said to be 80% of sensation for the vagus nerve. It is sensing everything that's going on inside us and providing all that information to the brain, but at the same time capable of managing a lot of the processes of the belly area and the inner organs without too much interaction with the brain. That's the enteric nervous system. We can go into that later. And I'm sure you'd like to know, as fascinating as this is, Why is it important to me? Well, there are two other parts to the central nervous system, which is the sympathetic nervous system being, we talk a lot about fight or flight, but there's more to it than that. It's movement, it's activity, it is consuming energy, it is the way that most of us in daily life go running around the world, jacked up on coffee, putting out fires, problem solving, jumping from one moment to the next without much of a pause for thought or a pause to breathe and a pause to be. So when we start breathing deep, when we come down off this roller coaster of stress, we activate our parasympathetic nervous system. You feel tired after eating. I live in Spain, and I admire one of the most civilized customs around here, which is the siesta. It's allowing yourself to be tired. It's taking half an hour out to lie down, to digest your meal, have a little nap, a power nap, a cat nap, and come back stronger rather than having a coffee and jumping back into work, which doesn't give your body time to rest and digest. And there's more to it than resting, because resting is when your body takes time out from all of that activity and can concentrate on its inner activity, like repair, like elimination of toxins, regeneration. That's what keeps us alive, by the way. We're not just born with one set of cells, we are constantly remaking ourselves when we rest at night. And little moments in the daytime, our body increases its vitality and also improves our immune system. So very important right now. How can we lead a more healthy life? Well, for a start, monitor our stress levels, understand where our base level of stress is so we know where we are on the curve and how to come down from there, so that the body has time to carry out the necessary functions of repair, regeneration, which ultimately increase our vitality and boost our immune system. Sounds great. So let's get on. The vagus nerve, as I said, it comes down from here. So if you take your fingers and your hands and you start to feel around here, it's a deep nerve, as I said. You'll never get to touch it, but by working on some bodily structures, there's like a domino effect. There are ways to reach deep, perhaps only with a very soft touch. Sometimes the softest touch runs the deepest. So just by placing our hands here, just by focusing our attention on our fingertips and on the area that we are touching here behind our jawbone and behind the occipital bone of the skull, there's a groove. There's a soft groove, a gap here. There's a lot going on in that gap. Frankly, it's quite messy. There's nerves and arteries and veins and all sorts going on there. But this would be the exit of the vagus nerve. So just placing your fingers on that area and paying attention to what is going on. You'll be able to feel your pulse, right? I'm going to introduce probably a new term, or at least a new use of the term, and that is induction. When you begin to induce a little bit of movement into that area with your fingertips, maybe up or down, forward or backwards, paying attention to whichever direction feels easiest to go. Like there may be some more resistance going forward, and you may find it easier, more natural to go back. So go ahead. Go back. Follow the sensations, follow the feelings of your body. You get to a point that that is now pulling on. I can feel that in my temples and my forehead. You may feel it somewhere else. It begins to activate other areas of your body from a distance. So now we've tuned in to that area. It's probably got a little bit softer as well, the area around there, as the body reacts to the touch. You take one hand and place it over your head and come down, bringing your ear towards your shoulder. Just go gentle with yourself, right? You're not trying to pull your head off here. Just wherever you feel the first point of resistance, where your body starts to get a little stiff, just stay there. Hang out for a second and look up in the opposite direction. This is a vagus reset. As I said, the vagus nerve runs down there, so nerves like to be stretched. They don't like pressure so much. So no pressure here. We're just going to do a nice gentle stretch. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing into our bellies. Another key way of activating the parasympathetic nervous system is to breathe. Just to breathe. It's as simple as that. Until you feel a sigh, an ah, maybe you swallow. That's the first sign that a change has happened. Take a moment to feel, compare one side to the other. Now we're going to go on the other side, okay? So same again, just place your hand on top of your head and bring your head down so that your ear comes towards your shoulder. Wherever you feel the first point of tension, hang out there. And look up in the opposite direction. And breathe. Okay. Coming back into the center. Now, the vagus nerve runs down here. It innervates. It provides the nervous connection between our larynx, our voice box, and the brain. So, another tool that we have for vagal activation, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, is resonance. It is vocalizing. So if there's anyone around you right now who you don't want to make a fool of yourself in front of, then too bad. Because I'm going to ask you to make some noise. If you like, you can touch this area just very gently with your fingertips and feel the resonance of that vibration. Let's try again. Feels good. I'm starting to zone out. As I said, the vagus nerve runs down into your belly, but also makes a couple of stops in different areas, that being that at the back of our mouth, where the food goes down and where you breathe down, that whole area is also innervated by the vagus nerve. So swallowing, have a good swallow. After chanting for a little bit, your mouth is probably full of water, so saliva. You have a good swallow, you're also activating the vagus nerve. And our inner ear, not our eardrum, not what gives us hearing, but the skin around our inner ear. This is also the vagal area, right? So if you just have a little fill around there, it's also said to activate the vagus nerve to stimulate it through sensation. Cool. Nice. All this time, just remember to breathe, right? It's the most important thing you can do to calm down, to relax after a stressful experience, a stressful moment, a stressful day, a stressful life, is to breathe, to keep breathing. You've heard of belly breathing, right? So, we're going to move on very shortly to the belly area, but because it's difficult to touch the vagus nerve here in the thorax and the chest cavity between the lungs. But we're going to try. As I said, we can make a change. We can touch structures from a distance with some kind of spooky action from a distance. Okay, so I just want you to place the fingers of one hand here on the sternum, on your chest bone. And with the other hand, very gently touch either side of the mountain here. The thumb one side and the fingers the other side, just to get some feeling of the connection between these two areas. If my lower hand, my chest cavity starts to go down and my upper hand starts to go up, let's just make a little bit of space. Let's just pull those tissues one way and another way and open up ourselves. Make a little bit of space. Nice. And release. And now, there's a lump here, the back of your neck, a big bone, the last of the cervical, the last of your neck bones here, and the spinal cord, spinal column. Just cup your fingers around that bump, and other hand becomes the chest hand, right? So yet again, very gently making a connection, making some suction. So we're not overly pressuring with our hands, we're just allowing friction to build up and pulling the tissues of our body in one direction and another direction. Here we are activating the deep cervical fascia, the pericardium, which is a sac of fascia that wraps around our hearts. Just creating some play, some reciprocal tension between one point and another. The upper hand goes up and the lower hand goes down. If you like, you can feel how you relax a little bit your upper body, your thorax and your belly, and just pull the weight of your body down as your upper hand lifts your head up, making some space. Nice. Well done. You're going well. I feel more relaxed already. How do you feel? What do you feel? Turning your eye inwards to your bodily sensations. What are you aware of? Have there been any changes since we started this little exercise? Okay, let's move on. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to stand up so you can see my hands where I am in the belly. You may like, having seen this video, to lie down, to stay seated, lie down on a couch, a yoga mat, in bed at night, once I've showed you these little belly sequences. But we're going to move on now to part 2.